One of the strangest things about running AI locally is what happens the first time you disconnect your computer from the internet. You open the model. You ask it about World War II. It answers. You ask it to explain Python. It answers. You ask it about black holes, Shakespeare, computer networking, economics, or how a combustion engine works. It still answers. And at some point, you start wondering, where is all of this information coming from? If my computer is completely offline, the model clearly isn't searching Google. It isn't opening Wikipedia. It isn't secretly calling some cloud API. So where exactly is the knowledge stored? Is there a giant hidden database inside the model file? Are there millions of web pages compressed into the weights? And when I ask a question, is the model somehow searching through that internal storage? The real answer is a little more complicated and honestly, much more interesting. A large language model does not store knowledge the same way a normal database stores information. There isn't a folder inside the model called history, another one called science, and a file somewhere containing a paragraph about Albert Einstein. Instead, the knowledge is distributed across billions of numerical parameters. And to understand what that means, we need to go back to how the model was trained. Before I ever download a local model onto my computer, that model has already gone through an enormous training process. During training, it is exposed to huge amounts of text, books, web pages, articles, code, documentation, stations, research material, and many other kinds of text depending on the training dataset. But the model isn't simply saving copies of those documents. It is learning patterns from them. The basic training task is surprisingly simple. The model sees some text and tries to predict what token should come next. For example, if I give it the sentence, "The capital of France is," the model tries to predict the next token. Maybe it predicts Paris. If it predicts something wrong, the training system calculates an error and slightly adjusts the model's parameters. Then it tries another example, and another, and another. This happens an incredible number of times. Over time, those billions of parameters slowly change until the model becomes very good at predicting language. But something surprising happens along the way. In order to become good at predicting language, the model has to learn a huge amount about the world. Because language contains information about the world. If the model repeatedly sees sentences connecting France with Paris, those relationships begin to influence its internal parameters. If it reads thousands of examples involving Python functions, variables, loops, and classes, it starts learning patterns of Python programming. If it sees discussions about gravity, planets, stars, and physics equations, it learns relationships between those concepts. So the model's knowledge is not stored as a collection of documents. It is encoded as patterns inside the network. That distinction is extremely important. Think about how you remember something. If I ask you what the capital of Japan is, you probably don't search through a mental PDF. You just know Tokyo. But if I asked you exactly which sentence first taught you that fact, you probably couldn't tell me. Your brain has absorbed the information. The original source and the knowledge are no longer the same thing. A language model works very differently from a human brain, of course, but this analogy helps explain the general idea. The model absorbs statistical relationships from its training data. Those relationships become encoded across the weights. Now, when people hear the word weights, it can sound abstract. So let me make it more concrete. Imagine a model with 70 billion parameters. Each parameter is basically a number. One might be 0.031. Another might be negative 0.82. Another might be 1.4. Individually, these numbers mean almost nothing to us. There isn't one parameter that means Paris. There isn't one parameter that means dog. And there probably isn't one parameter that means how to write a Python function. The information is distributed. A concept is represented by patterns involving huge numbers of parameters interacting with each other. That's why looking directly at a model file doesn't reveal readable facts. You can't open a 40 gigabyte quantized model in a text editor and find Wikipedia articles inside it. What you'll mostly see is binary numerical data. Those numbers are the learned weights. And those weights determine how the model transforms your input into an output. This also explains why a model file can contain an astonishing amount of useful knowledge without being as large as the entire internet. The model is not storing every training document exactly. It is compressing patterns. You can think of it as a very strange form of lossy compression. The model learns that certain ideas, words, facts, grammatical structures, programming patterns, and relationships often occur together. Then it represents those relationships mathematically. But because it is lossy, it does not remember everything perfectly. And this is exactly where hallucinations start becoming easier to understand. Suppose I ask a traditional database, what year was a specific event? W? The database might look up a stored record and return the exact value. But a language model doesn't normally work that way. It generates the answer by calculating probabilities. Given everything I just typed, what token is most likely to come next? Then what token comes after that? And after that? So when the model answers a factual question, it is reconstructing an answer from patterns it learned during training. If those patterns are strong, the answer may be very accurate. If the model saw a fact many times during training, it may reproduce it reliably. But if the information is obscure, contradictory, rare, or missing from the training data, things become dangerous. The model may still generate something that sounds completely plausible. That's because the model's job is fundamentally to generate likely language. It does not automatically have a built-in alarm that says, I have exactly 37% confidence in this historical date, so I should refuse to answer. This is why a local model can sound incredibly knowledgeable one minute and confidently invent something the next. It has learned a map of relationships. It does not have a perfect encyclopedia stored inside its weights. There's another really important difference between knowledge in the weights and information in the context window. Let's say I download a local model. The model already contains whatever knowledge it learned during training. That is sometimes called parametric knowledge. Now I give it a PDF. Maybe it's a private company report that was created yesterday. The model obviously could not have learned that document during training. So how can it answer questions about it? Because I can put information from that document into the context window. The context window is basically the temporary information the model can see while generating a response. So there are really two different sources of information. There's what the model learned during training, and there's what I give it right now. The first is encoded in the parameters. The second is temporary context. This is also how techniques like RAG work. RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. Instead of expecting the model to know everything, I can connect it to my own documents. I ask a question. The system searches my document collection. It finds relevant passages. Then it inserts those passages into the model's prompt. The model reads them and generates an answer. And all of this can happen locally. No internet connection is required. I could have thousands of PDFs stored on my own computer. A local search system finds relevant chunks. A local language model reads them, and the answer never leaves my machine. This is why offline AI systems can sometimes seem even more knowledgeable than the model itself. You might think the model somehow memorized your documents. It didn't. The software around the model is retrieving them and feeding them into the context. This becomes even more obvious if I delete the documents. The model suddenly loses access to that information. Its weights didn't change. The external knowledge source disappeared. Now let's go back to the model file itself. If I download a 7B model and a 70B model, the 70B model has many more parameters. That gives it more capacity to represent complicated patterns. This is one reason larger models have historically tended to know more and handle difficult relationships better. But model size is not the only thing that matters. Training data quality matters. How long the model was trained matters. Post-training matters. The architecture matters. A smaller modern model can sometimes outperform a much larger older model because it learned more efficiently. But regardless of size, once training is finished, the model can be downloaded as a collection of weights. Those weights are basically the frozen result of training. That word, frozen, is important. When I chat with most local models, the model is not normally rewriting its own weights every time I tell it something. If I say, my dog's name is Charlie, the model may remember that information during the current conversation because it is still inside the context window. But if I close the application, restart it tomorrow, and ask, what's my dog's name? Go. The model usually has no idea. Because I didn't retrain it. The parameters never changed. The information existed temporarily in context, not permanently in the model. This is why AI memory features are usually built outside the base language model. A program might save important information to a database. Then, when I start another conversation, it retrieves that information and puts it back into the prompt. To me, it feels like the AI remembered. But technically, the base model may not have changed at all. This distinction becomes extremely useful when building local AI systems. The model weights contain general knowledge. The context contains current information. A retrieval system can provide private knowledge. A database can provide long-term memory. Tools can provide live information, and the language model sits in the middle, interpreting all of it. That means I don't actually need one giant model that memorizes everything. If my local model doesn't know today's weather, I can give it access to a weather API. If it doesn't know my company's internal documentation, I can connect it to a local vector database. If it needs to calculate something accurately, I can give it a calculator. If it needs to know what files are on my computer, I can give it controlled file system access. The model becomes less like a giant encyclopedia and more like the reasoning engine connecting different sources of information. And that brings us to something people often misunderstand about offline AI. If a model is completely offline, its built-in knowledge has a cutoff. Imagine a model finished training in 2025. Now it's 2026. If I ask it about something that happened after its training data ended, it cannot magically know the answer. There's nothing magical about being an AI. If the information never entered the training data and I don't provide it in the prompt, the model has no reliable source for it. It might say it doesn't know. Or worse, it might guess. This is one reason connecting models to search tools can be so powerful. The model provides reasoning and language ability. Search provides fresh information. Put those together and you get something much more useful. But if I disconnect the network again, the model returns to whatever knowledge is encoded in its weights, plus whatever local information I provide. Text upporter, there's also a security and privacy advantage here. If all the model weights are stored on my computer and all of my documents are stored locally, I can create a system where sensitive information never has to leave my machine. For personal notes, private code, legal documents, company files, or confidential research, that can be extremely attractive. But it also means I'm responsible for the system. If the model has outdated information, I have to update it through retrieval or use a newer model. If the model is weak in a certain area, there is no cloud server secretly fixing it for me. What I download is what I have. And this is why model files are so fascinating. You could have a file that is tens of gigabytes in size sitting on an SSD. Disconnect Ethernet. Turn off Wi-Fi. And that file still contains enough learned structure to generate essays, explain science, write software, translate languages, and answer questions about thousands of topics. Not because all of those answers are literally written inside the file, but because training transformed enormous amounts of text into billions of mathematical relationships. When I ask a question, the model uses those relationships to construct an answer token by token. And once you understand that, local AI makes a lot more sense. The model is not secretly searching the internet. It's not carrying around a hidden copy of Google. It's not opening a database every time I ask it something. Most of the time, it is using patterns encoded in its parameters. That's its built-in knowledge. Anything I put into the prompt becomes temporary knowledge. Anything retrieved from my files becomes external knowledge. And anything pulled from a tool can provide information the model never learned in the first place. So when an offline model answers a question that seems surprisingly specific, what you're really seeing is the result of training. Billions of numbers, adjusted over enormous amounts of data, now working together to recreate useful information. And I think that might be one of the strangest things about modern AI. A model can lose its internet connection completely and still know an incredible amount about the world. Not because the internet is hidden inside it, but because, in a very real sense, the training process already changed what the model is.